Hello everyone. In this video, I'm going to explain queue data structure and how we can implement queue using C language. So before going to the program part, I'll discuss how queue works and what are the operations on queue. So a queue is an abstract data structure somewhat similar to stacks. Unlike stacks, a queue is open at both its ends. One end is always used to insert data and the other end is used to remove data. And queue follows first in first out method. That means the data items stored first will be accessed first. For real life example, you can just think about movie ticket lines. So it is just similar to the ticket queue outside a movie hall, where the first person entering the queue is the first person to get the ticket. So now let's see what are the queue operations. So in a queue, there are two main functions or operations. One is enqueue and other one is dequeue. So enqueue adds or inserts an item to the queue from the rear end, and dequeue removes an item from the queue from the front end. Apart from enqueue and dequeue, there are three more functions. IsEmpty that checks if the queue is empty, IsFull function checks if the queue is full, and pick gets the value of the front of the queue without removing it. Now let's see how enqueue operation works. So in the first step, it checks if the queue is full. If the queue is full, it produces overflow condition just like the stack. Next, if the queue is not full, it will increment the rear pointer to point the next empty space. Then it will add the data element to the queue location where the rear is pointing. So you can see here, when we insert an element or enqueuing a data, it will be from the rear end. So front will remain same for enqueue process and the rear will keep incrementing. So next comes dequeue operation. So to perform dequeue operation, it will check if the queue is empty. If the queue is empty, it will produce underflow condition just like stack again. Then if queue is not empty, it will access the data where front is pointing. Then it will increment front pointer to point to the next available data element. So here you can see in the dequeue process, we will dequeuing or removing an item from the front, and the rear will remain constant, but the pointer for front will keep changing or decrementing. So let's see how does it work programmatically. So when we implement using program, we use two pointers called front and rear to keep track of the first and the last element in the queue. When initializing the queue, we set the value of front and rear to -1, or in program we just set it to 0. So on enqueuing an element, we increase the value of rear index and place the new element in the position pointed to by rear. And on dequeuing an element, we return the value pointed to by front and increase the front index. Then before enqueuing, we check if the queue is already full. Similarly, before dequeuing also, we check if the queue is already empty. When enqueuing the first element, we set the value of front to 0, and when dequeuing the last element, we reset the values of front and rear to -1. Next, let's see the example. Here is an empty queue and we want to insert some elements or enqueue some elements. So initially we set both front and rear pointer to be the -1 when we enqueue the first element, we increment it to 0, the pointers both front and rear. Then when we enqueue the second element, the front remain same, and we keep enqueuing elements from the rear end, and every time we enqueue an element, the rear pointer keep incrementing. Next, in dequeuing process, the we just delete it from the front, so rear remain same and the front pointer keep decrementing until we dequeue the last element. At the end, we just set the value of both pointers to -1 again. So in the next video, I'll show how we can implement queue using C. Thank you.